here we go. Welcome to This Week in Baseball Player Profiles as we profile head coach from Kansas University, Ritch Price. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your time this morning, and we're going to go over some questions here and get your feedback. So tell us about your baseball growing up.
Well, obviously, I grew up in a baseball family. My grandfather was a coach. Both my uncles were coaches. My dad was a professional baseball player, and then they became a coach as well. And from the time I could walk, I would follow them all over the summer in California on the baseball field. And like every kid in America, at that time I wanted to play in the big leagues. And when I was done playing, I wanted to coach. And 40 years later, it's been an incredible career.
Sure has. What college did you play at?
I played junior college at Lynn Benton in Oregon for Coach McLean, who's a Hall of Fame junior college coach. And then I played my last 2 years at Willamette University in Salem for Bill Trimbath. And his son, Grant, is now the head groundskeeper for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I was fortunate enough to play for two really good college coaches.
And what position did you play?
A shortstop, second base.
Well, there you go, middle infielder. So what got you into coaching?
Well, I think basically when you grow up with that dream that you want to be a professional baseball player, I mean, you try to be as good a student of the game as you can possibly be. And growing up and having coaches in our house all the time and sitting in the dugout and listening to the conversations, I think it helps you with your baseball IQ. I think it helps you as you watch other players chase their dream and develop, and you're trying to follow in their footsteps. I just think it's a natural fit.
Okay. Well, in your career, you have 1,149 wins as a coach. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. How does that make you feel? Huh?
And probably 1,000 losses too.
Well, I know this. You have the most wins at KU. You've been there 18 seasons. You have 531 wins in 33 years, which is very, very impressive. You're in the history there. Tell us about some of your former players that you have.
Well, I think the greatest thing about coaching at the University of Kansas is you get to coach the greatest kids walking the planet. I'm a Californian, and one of the great things about that state is baseball is so popular there because of the weather and because of it's the largest populated state in America as well. And your high school coaches and your college coaches all played college baseball, or they all played professional baseball. So you grow up in a really good baseball environment. And also when you live in California where everybody lives on top of everybody else, kids have an edge to them. And part of that edge is really a good thing. It makes you really competitive, but there can be a little bit of selfishness involved in that too, where it's about me. And when I came to KU, one of the things I've enjoyed the most are the core values of the people in the Midwest. It's about God, family, country, and being a great teammate. And at the University of Kansas, you know, our weather is awful. By comparison to the rest of the teams in our league, it's the one drawback to coming to KU is we coach a warm weather sport in a cold weather state. And as a result of that, kids have to be tough and they have to be willing to go out. Like yesterday, the wind chills in the 20s yesterday, and we spent 8 hours on the field trying to get better. But I think the greatest thing about KU, we recruit really good students that have goals to become successful in life and take good care of their family. School's important to them. The whole college atmosphere is important to them. They want to enjoy the social part. And all of our guys live together. They end up being best friends for life. I get emails and text messages all the time about guys at a wedding. There'll be 12 baseball players at one of the guys' weddings. And I think those are the things when it's all over with, you know, we all want to be the best player we can possibly be, but I also think we all want to walk away from the game with lifelong friends. And it's the part I enjoy most about being at KU is the total college experience you get when you come to school here.
Well, under your tutelage there, you've had 108 all-conference selections, 100 academic all-conference players, 72 players drafted, 2 All-Americans, and 748 wins in D1. That's really impressive. That speaks volumes of the type of person that you are in your program.
Well, I appreciate that. I've been really lucky to have good assistant coaches and young men that come in here and understand the value of player development. I mean, we don't get the most high-profile guys in America like an Arkansas gets. Arkansas gets 5-star recruits, like our basketball team gets McDonald's All-Americans. Mm-hmm. We get young men that walk in here that have to keep getting better each year. They're here in order to compete in our league. And at the same time, if you bust your rear in the weight room, you work really hard in your individual skill development, and you're competitive, you can go from point A to point B and become an impact player. And I think we've had like our 9th guy made the big leagues this summer, so it's something that we're proud of. But I think more important that we're proud of what our graduation rate is and how successful those young men are after they're done playing.
That's great. That's great. I know I always preach that we want to see the kids succeed and get all their goals in and follow their dreams, but raising better young men is what's most important for coaching.
Yeah, and then the second part about that is we want our guys to graduate. So we're recruiting guys with 3.0 GPAs and 1,000 on their SAT score. And we want them to be the student athlete that belongs at the University of Kansas and just isn't here to play and then drop out of school when he leaves. And we had 32 players on the honor roll this last fall semester. We set the all-time GPA record at KU last spring with over 30 guys, and I think it was 3.5 something. So we're the only school in the Big 12 that's gone 3 consecutive years of being on the academic All-American team in our conference. And Glenn Quick, our academic guy, does a great job with our guys. We pay for tutors for any classes that they need help in, but we want our guys to graduate. I tell my guys this all the time. If they come here and they play and they sign and they don't graduate, then I didn't do my job. And I'm really proud of the fact that we had like 5 minor leaguers back this fall in the offseason finishing their degree that just graduated. So it's you can do both. We want guys to return to school after playing fall ball and walk away with that degree.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So that leads me into my next question. What type of player do you guys look for when you're recruiting?
You know what's interesting about that is that in our league, with the pitching as good as it is in the Big 12 conference, when you get the TrackMan data reports back at the end of the weekend, every team in our league averages 90 miles an hour. That's what the average velo is in our league. And I tell our guys this, if we face a left-hander that's 86, 87, and he throws 100 pitches, that means on the course of that weekend, somebody else threw 100 pitches at 93, 94, 95 to get that average back up to 90. You have to be able to hit to play in our conference. And there's a huge difference between guys that can hit and guys who can hit velo. And a lot of guys are really good against guys that throw 86 miles an hour. But when they get to 90, they're overmatched, let alone when you get to 93, 94, 95. So my big thing is I'm not as big on the stopwatch as a lot of teams are. They want guys that can really run. I'll take that young man that's got a feel for hitting. And it's a gift. The way I look at it is there's guys that are really good three-point shooters. There's quarterbacks that can really throw the baseball or the football. There's also guys that can really hit. And our job as coaches is to continue to help them develop, but they have some God-given gifts that you can't teach in a lot of times. And so I'll take a guy that can hit over a plus runner if the guy's an average runner any day of the week.
All right. Okay. So tell us about your team now or currently. What are they like right now?
Well, I think one of the good things about our program is we make 4-year commitments to our guys when they come to school year. So we're not running guys in and running guys out. And I'm really proud of the fact that if you look on the fall rosters at Kansas State and Wichita State and KU, we have more Kansas kids on our roster than those 2 schools do combined. But I think it's also a developmental process. We have to bring those guys in, much like when I was a junior college coach for 11 years and help them go from point A as a freshman to point B as a sophomore to now their junior year, they can play at a major university. And there's a development process involved in that to make it happen. And we have an experienced team. We had 13 seniors on our roster last spring when COVID-19 shut the season down. And 8 of those guys graduated and they're back in school doing their MBAs or their sports management masters. So we have an experienced team, and we were 12-12 in 2019. Last year we had a real baseball conference, and we think we're better than we were then. But I'll also tell you this, Tano, it's like the pitching in our league will be at an all-time best.
Yes.
One of the coaches in my league said this, a 5-round draft last year, and seniors getting their eligibility back. Every team in my league has 5 guys that would be playing professional baseball now that are on their roster. It's going to be the best talent in the history of college baseball is going to be on the field as a result of how big the rosters are.
Mm-hmm. So that leads me to my next question about your conference. Not everybody knows who's in your conference. Explain what it's like trying to get through your conference.
We have this saying in our program is that you have to walk into the yard and you have to love to grind, because there's going to be days you're going to get boat raced on a Friday night and you're not using your top guys out of the bullpen because you still got a game Saturday, Sunday, and how you handle that adversity. In baseball, you got to flush what happened on Friday and bounce back in on Saturday and find a way to win. And it takes mature kids to be able to do that. It's an absolute grind. I mean, we have 7 teams in our league in the top 25 right now. And the second great thing about our league is Texas draws 7,000 people a night. TCU draws 6,000. Texas Tech draws 6,000. You get to play in some of the greatest environments in America because it's all about college sports in the Big 12 Conference. Those are not professional baseball sports towns. In California, it's all about the Giants, the Dodgers, the Lakers, the 49ers. And you got really good college programs, but they take a huge seat back. Whereas when it comes to attendance to the SEC and to the Big 12, and it's one of the reasons I came. I love being the underdog. I love going to Texas with 35 guys in the dugout, 7,000 people in the stadium, and it's like being in the Alamo, except we're trying to find a way to win that one. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I came, and that's why the kids come here. The kids come here to get a degree from one of the top 40 public universities in America, playing one of the 2 best leagues in the country, to play against the best teams and the best coaches. And you got to be tough enough and competitive enough to handle it.
I agree with you. So you have brought up COVID. How do you think that affects the 22 class moving forward, seeing that they gave an extra year to the JUCO kids?
Yeah, I'll tell you what's really interesting about the process. We recruit right to our 35-man limit. So if we got 8 seniors and 2 guys we're going to lose in the draft that are juniors, we'll recruit 10 guys. And I've only been wrong about 2 times in 19 years as to how many juniors we were going to lose in the draft. But we have 46 guys on our roster. We had 13 seniors. We had 3 juniors we expected to sign that are back in school. So that's 16 guys that we expected to be gone after the 20 season. The guys I feel really bad for are the 2021 student athletes. The young man that didn't verbal in the fall of his junior year in high school and get a commitment from a major university, unless he just comes out of nowhere, those kids can't even get recruited right now, let alone get a scholarship at the Power 5 conference level. So I feel bad for the 21s. I don't think it's going to be much better for the 2022s. I think there's going to be rosters are at 40 next year. And then that year in 22, the NCAA has already stated you have to be back to the 35-man roster. Every team is still going to have 5 classes. So our freshmen that got another year's eligibility have now got 4 more years to play. So it's going to affect the kids in junior college. It's going to affect the kids that are juniors in high school. And my recommendation to guys is do your homework, man. See what grade guys are that play the position that you play on their rosters and pick the place that fits all your needs and has the best opening, because we all want to play. Right. If there's a senior who's a 4-year starter playing your position, you're not playing as a freshman. And in my opinion, you can't get better as a freshman if you're not playing. So that's one of the great things about junior college is you can get overlooked out of high school. You can go to junior college, play your 40 fall games, play your 40 games in the spring, go play summer baseball, live in the weight room, get bigger, get stronger, get faster, and then you can play at a major university when you weren't able to do so out of high school. So I think a lot of the 22 kids, I think, are going to have to look at the big picture. How do I accomplish my goals? Because of the pure economics of 5 classes on every campus.
Right. Well, that's some good advice there. So some more advice. What would you give advice to parents of younger kids, raising kids through baseball?
I think the greatest thing a parent can do is to find the right coach and then let those guys coach their sons. And if you're a baseball guy and you want to help with the development of the whole team, that's even better, because the more coaches that can help young kids with drill work and keeping kids busy, you won't lose their interest. You'll make it more fun. The practices will be more active. But my advice to that is don't be the parent that is critical of their son. Nobody tries to strike out 2 times and go for 4 and wants to get in the car and drive home and listen to their mom or dad tell them about how bad their bats were. Okay. That's coaches' jobs. Okay. Is make sure your kid has fun. And then if you let him have fun and the game's important to him, he's going to work as hard as it takes to become the best player his God-given talent allows.
All right. So advice to high school athletes that are getting into high school, what should you think they should start doing?
Well, I think number 1 is be a great teammate. I think if you want to be a young man that's valued in a program, the best thing you can be is be a great teammate. I watch Patrick Mahomes every Sunday, and I watched this talk that he gave the receiver when he fumbled the punt last weekend in the championship game, how he went over to him, tried to pump him up. The guy's really down. He's in the dumps, and he's telling him, you be you. You be you, make a play. And then about the next series, the guy runs a 50-yard reverse and the Chiefs blow out the Bills. But he handled being a really great teammate who's from a guy who's a superstar. And I think when you got a really good team, your best players are also your best teammates, that it's team first. And then the great thing about our game is you can be on an average team or not a very good team. You could be King Griffey Jr. and be the best player in the game and be on the worst team in baseball, be Mike Trout right now, and be on a last place team, be the best player in the game, but still be a great teammate.
Right. Okay. You had touched on 21s and 22s about some of their adversity. What advice could you give to those guys?
I think the big thing is don't get caught up in the name of the school or the name on the front of your jersey. Is that I think if you look at the whole picture when you're sitting down and you're looking for academics, you're looking for location of the school, you're looking for the fit. How does your skill set match up with the school that you want to go to? Do you fit with the coaches that are there? Are they the type of guys that are going to help you grow? I think that kids need to look at the whole ball and try to make the best decision about their whole future, not just about how big the stadium is that they're walking into.
Okay. And this is a good question here, I think. And a lot of our listeners are obviously in the Kansas area. What's your favorite memory of Matt Beatty and Ryan Beatty?
Tell you what, I think my favorite memory of Ryan Beatty is his senior year on graduation day. He could have signed as a junior, and we call him the governor. We totally expect Ryan Beatty to be the governor of this great state someday. He's the student athlete of the year at the University of Kansas. He's a great God, 6'4", 210, can run 6'5" in the 60-yard dash. He graduates in the morning and goes down the hill and then races to Kansas State, and we're playing on Sunday to be at his final game. And I told him, I said, hey, Ryan, man, you can go to graduation. You're an honor roll student. You're the Scholarly Athlete of the Year. Go enjoy your great day. No, Skip, I'm going to be with my teammates. And in his final college game, he hit 2 home runs at Kansas State to help us sweep them. And I think it speaks volumes about what a great teammate that young man was, along with being a great, great player. And Matt Beatty is Mr. Hustle. He won the Mike Hill Award 4 straight years at KU for hustle. And his senior year, we won the Big 12 tournament, and we were in the top 25 in the final polls. We hadn't won a baseball championship in 56 years at KU. And during the season, we're playing in Nashville at Lipscomb University, and Matt makes a dive and a ball in the gap playing center field, and he collides head on with our left fielder head to head. He ended up rupturing his spleen. He spent 3-4 days in the hospital in Nashville, missed like 4 weeks of our season. And then we went to Oklahoma City, and he was MVP of the tournament, and without playing for almost a month. And great teammate, great Jayhawk, both young men.
Oh, that's some good memories right there. And I love calling Ryan Beatty the governor now, just so you know. All right. So outside of baseball, what hobbies do you have, or do you have time?
Yeah, I love to hit that golf ball. I tell people this all the time. I think when you play baseball and guys are throwing you cutters and sinkers and sliders and curveballs and 95 miles an hour, when you're a baseball player, taking BP is fun, especially when the wind's blowing out. Got a chance to get that home run swing on the BP pitch and hit the ball in the bleachers and feel like you're a big time guy. When you get to be on that tee box, that ball doesn't move. You tee that thing up and you get a chance like it's taking BP, and you feel like you're a big time dude with that driver in your hand. But I love the game of golf. I love the socializing of the golf. I love being outside in the sun, and I love playing in the ocean, by the ocean with the palm trees and the wind. Next to baseball, greatest game there is.
There you go. All right. So last question here for you, Coach. Anything you might have missed on advice for people that are listening, players and parents and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that too many players right now are trying to do their own recruiting, and that they're the ones that are contacting coaches and sending emails. For us, we have a 24-hour rule. If a coach calls our office and wants to recommend a player or is calling about one of his guys, the rule in our office is I don't care how busy you are, you return that phone call within 24 hours to that coach and find out what he has to say, get his video. If we're out of money and not recruiting that position, be honest with the coach, because he's making a lot of phone calls. But I think a lot of kids are making the mistake of not using their coaches, whether they're their high school coaches or their summer coaches. They're trying to do it on their own, and coaches want to talk to people with credibility. So I would encourage players to sit down with their coaches, have an honest man-to-man conversation about their abilities and where they think they match up, what levels they can play, and then put a plan together how to reach out to those specific programs.
Okay. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. You get ready to start the season, kick the season off here shortly, and I want to wish you and your team the best of luck.
Thank you very much. You got a great
hopefully,
facility too, man. Your facility is absolutely fabulous, your training center.
well, I appreciate that. I know, you know Mark Standiford really well, and he was the owner of Sluggers for a long time. I think Matt Beatty coming in and taking over the torch and moving forward is going to help lead us back into what we used to be in the early 2000s, with player development and things like that, which is what's huge for Wichita. We need to get back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a great baseball town, and I hope you guys can continue to improve the skill set of the players going forward.
Yes, I appreciate that. Well, again, have a good day. That concludes this week in Baseball Player Profiles with head coach KU, Ritchie Price. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You bet. Good luck to you.
You too.